Tonight on Grady Newsource, we're bringing you something different. Our reporters have fanned out in counties across Northeast Georgia to find out what problems people see in their daily lives.
But tonight, it's not just about the problems. It's about what people are doing to solve them. See how a solution 20 years in the making is rerouting the flow of traffic to ease downtown congestion. And a nonprofit is giving out free books in a county where child literacy rates are 10 percentage points lower than the state level. And see why the founder of a youth baseball club is setting boundaries between coaches and parents. We've been listening to your problems and reporting on the responses. This is Solutions Journalism.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening and welcome to Grady Newsource. I'm Zach Pascuzzi.
And I'm Sydney Palmer.
There are a few reasons people say they don't watch the news. One of them is because they feel like they only hear the bad stuff, everything going wrong in the world, crime reports, and political arguments.
We rarely report on what's going right. So today, we're bringing you solutions to local problems, things our viewers told us they wanted to see fixed, and we're showing you what people are doing to meet those needs.
Another reason why many people don't watch the news is because they feel like they can't trust journalists. A Pew Research study shows that only about 50% of U.S. adults trust media outlets.
And we're going to address that by pulling back the curtain so you can see what the reporting process looks like.
We hope that after this show, you feel more positive about your community and more trust in us, your local journalists. We begin in Barrow County, where a long-awaited project is bringing traffic relief.
Grady Newsource reporters Jordan Lazinski and Caleb Hensley show us how the West Winder bypass is changing the way the city moves.
In a city fewer than 20,000 people, you wouldn't expect traffic to be a big problem. But in downtown Winder, residents say it's become unbearable. Winder is known for its local restaurants, small shops, and city buildings like the library and community center, a spot meant to bring people together. But for many who live here, it's not a destination they look forward to. It's one they try to avoid. Winder Police Captain Chris Cooper says that the congestion in the city can make his job harder, as downtown can be hard to navigate at times. While he admits the issues of traffic, he says the issue is far from new.
Been a factor in Winder. It's just always been just. A lot of people don't realize there's like 4 main state thoroughfares that all come to a intersection here in downtown Winder. So we have like Gainesville Highway, Jefferson Highway, Monroe Highway, Loganville Highway. You have State Route 211, which feeds I-85, which takes everybody to and from Atlanta. And then we've got 316, which is Atlanta to Athens, cuts right through the center or south side of town. So there's just a lot of like traffic coming from all over the place. They all seem to come through Winder to get wherever they're going.
But he adds, the solution already exists.
A lot of the solutions that we've come up with over time, over history, has been in partnership with DOT. That was, again, the West Winder bypass was a project predominantly funded by them.
The bypass that Captain Cooper mentioned has been in the works since 2006, a project nearly 2 decades in the making. It's designed to divert heavy traffic away from downtown, giving drivers a faster, smoother way around the city's most congested streets, and ultimately offer a different route to the thoroughfares that meet in the downtown area. In order for it to operate at an even higher rate, it must become more visible to the residents. The Georgia Department of Transportation's District Communications Officer, Nathan Johnston, says that there's 3 reasons why they want people to know about this Winder bypass.
Number 1, it eases traffic through downtown Winder. Number 2, it improves safety at the busy intersections throughout the corridor. And number 3, it supports Barrow County's rapid growth.
Because the project will not be done until 2027, there could be an issue caused by the construction itself. Johnson says that we need to be patient throughout this process as GDOT is still working tirelessly every day to ease the commute of drivers throughout the Winder area. Local truck driver Jalen Week told us that he believes that GDOT's work is important and helps on his trips when traveling.
Yeah, using the West Winder bypass has helped a lot. It's a lot less congestion. Being a truck driver, I'm trying to get to all of my destinations pretty fast, so now I don't have to go through all that traffic in the middle of the city, so it helps.
The bypass sits just 5 miles west of downtown, and it's evidently the key to unclogging these streets. Mayor Jimmy Terrell says that requiring trucks such as these to use the bypass could be the ultimate solution to really diluting a lot of that traffic downtown. The Bureau of Transportation Statistics says that bypass often means safer, quieter, less congested downtowns. Once a bypass opens, come shorter average travel times and fewer heavy trucks cutting through residential or commercial districts.
While traffic is being diverted, more help is still to come. While the West Winder bypass is being built in segments and won't be completely finished until 2027, officials say that more help is still to come and traffic will soon be moving even more freely throughout Barrow County. I'm Caleb Hensley.
And I'm Jordan Lazinski.
And this is Grady Newsource.
And we're actually joined tonight by Caleb Hensley from Barrow County. Caleb, how did you guys find this bypass?
Yeah, Zach. So Jordan and I canvassed the downtown Winder area and spoke to the residents of Barrow County and asked if they had any issues or if they had any qualms of being a member of the community here. And the one thing that was consistent was actually the congestion and the traffic that hits the city. So from there on, we decided to speak with the county leaders and the people that are in charge of the growth of this county, whether that's the police captain or the mayor. And that's how we learned about the West Winder bypass and the development that is designed to divert that traffic from the city to manage from the thoroughfares to get from one way to another.
And do you foresee any limitations coming along with this project?
So as you can see behind me, this is an active construction site as construction won't be complete until the end of 2027. So from there, streets may close and that may cause a bit of a limitation within itself. But other than that, the mayor and police captain told us that they believe it might be an education issue preventing this bypass from being as successful as it could be, noting that traffic is still moving congested throughout the city, even though it's at a lesser pace. Letting more residents know about this bypass may help completely minimize that traffic.
All right, thank you so much, Caleb.
And Jackson County is struggling to get its public transportation system off the ground. But nearby, Athens-Clarke County has an example of what transit could look like.
Now, Grady Newsource reporters Derek Oliveros, Joshua Malik, and Michaela Maxwell will bring us the details.
Mari Singh is waiting for a ride home after a long day in Athens. This is not anything out of the ordinary for Singh, who rides the bus
at least like 4 times a day.
But in neighboring Jackson County, public transportation is a real issue. Misty Burns, the transit director of Jackson County, says keeping up with a consistent schedule is one of their biggest challenges.
Because you don't know how that's going to go, and we are a appointment-based service on a first-come, first-served basis.
Athens-Clarke County could serve as an example. Victor Pope, the transit department director in Athens, says the system stays busy.
On a daily basis, we're serving about 6,000 people.
Athens Transit is free for any resident that may need it. So how does the county fund this free program? They use a mixture of funds from the county penny sales tax and federal funding.
We also receive Federal Transit Administration or the FTA 5307 funds, which provide about a 50% match in most cases for our operating expenses and provide up to 80% match on our capital expenses.
Athens' 26 bus routes cover the 122 square mile county. The system is not perfect though, as it shares one issue with Jackson County: rural area coverage.
Well, unfortunately, historically, it's not been a priority. However, that's one of the things that we're trying to achieve through the push for microtransit. We're trying to ensure that we're able to at least offer a transit option to the more rural areas of Athens.
But for Singh, the buses make getting around Athens much easier.
And one of my classes is at Main Library, and I live very close to Joe Frank. And that's not really a reasonable walk for me that early in the morning, like a 40-minute walk from my dorm to Main Library. So I rely on that system a lot. And if I miss the bus, then I have to wait like another 20 minutes for it to come back around.
Hope says when it comes to the system that the goal is simple.
Our goal is to connect people with opportunities or provide access to opportunities. And that's one of the things that I consistently talk to people about when I speak to them locally about public transportation.
Pope believes that working with surrounding counties, including Jackson, could increase those opportunities. But for Burns, the question still lies in how to start, especially when thinking of placement for stops.
But we also have problems with the rural areas that are kind of removed and coming up with good spots for things like bus stops so that we could do a fixed route. Because we have a lot of areas where that would be really nice, but the people that need the transportation still couldn't get to the bus stop.
So while Jackson County is struggling to establish plans to connect the county, Athens has an idea at what the next stop might look like.
Now, Madison County is also having some struggles with their public transportation.
But one county over, Elbert County Transit hopes to serve as a model for what public transportation could look like.
And this one's special. This was actually our piece.
It was. Myself, Zach, and Newsource reporter Rebecca Schillinger worked together to bring you this story.
I don't have to be struggling for a ride. I don't have to be stressed for a ride.
Without public transportation in Madison County,
a lot of elderly people doesn't have the transportation like me.
But one county over,
I go to the grocery store, I could go to the dentist, I could go to the doctor, whatever the case be, and I need a ride.
Elbert Transit is stepping in, and Artister is one of hundreds of residents relying on the service monthly, a number that's grown faster than anyone expected.
We started out with one transit bus, and we were doing like 2 people a month, and we do a little over 900, close to 1,000 per month.
And on a typical day,
we doing anywhere between 50 to 60 trips per day.
And Elbert County Transit helps to fill public transportation gaps here in Elbert County. The service runs from Mondays to Fridays from 7:15 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And residents are not limited to Elberton city limits.
Trip, not just in Elbert County. We are one of the agencies that we go further than any agency. We take you from Elberton to Atlanta.
But the service is limited to Elberton residents.
We get phone calls from surrounding county, can we take you? But we had to ask them, where you pay your taxes? If you pay your taxes in Franklin County, I can't pick you up.
Transportation is funded through a mix of federal, state, and local funds such as T-Splost. And ride fares bring in money for Elbert County Transit, meaning if you aren't an Elbert taxpayer, you cannot use the service.
I would be willing to set up and show another county how to operate without Elbert County being involved. You know, I could help them.
But Jones says agreeing on a plan across counties in Northeast Georgia has been a challenge. Dr. Cami Lee, an expert in intelligent transportation, says Madison County can find out if they are eligible to apply for public transportation grants.
I think the solution here is this private sector, they can talk to Madison County and ask, because I don't think private sector is eligible to apply as the lead prime recipient, but they can be part of the team. So they are basically the service provider, but the lead has to be Madison County.
This requires Madison and Elberton County to create a proposal together to extend this on-demand transit outside of one county. While Elbert Transit is a valuable resource, residents must schedule around their daily end time of 3:30, and finding an Uber or Lyft can be a challenge, specifically in counties like Madison.
In this case, if they live in the rural area, it's going to be really hard for them to get an Uber. Because, of course, during nighttime, we don't see a lot of Uber drivers out there. And also they are living in the rural area, that just makes the service order even harder.
And while there is still progress to be made, Elbert Transit is working to fill the public transportation gap, one rider at a time.
I use it maybe 5 days a week. I mean, now I can have tears for joy because I'm overwhelmed with that, knowing I ain't got to call them and beg them and they turn me down.
And 3 of our reporters are here from Madison, Barrow, and Jackson counties, joining us here live in the newsroom. So how did you guys decide on transportation issues?
We went out into Madison County and we spoke with different people from different areas in the community, and we landed on the senior center where they said that transportation was a huge need in the county.
Yeah, just going around talking to the citizens of Jackson, we had so many people complaining about the lack of public transportation in the area.
Yeah, we just went hopping around downtown, and that was really the only thing that anyone in Winder had to complain about, so that's what we went with.
And after all of your reporting over the past few months, why do you guys think that stories like these matter?
I think the biggest thing was we got to speak with Chris Cooper, who was the police captain there. And growing up there, he said that this is a place where so many cars are going through to get to other destinations. And so that really impacts the local businesses there. So this is a good way to keep those people profiting and doing well in their community.
You know, I think that when you have a lot of people have one resounding suggestion, you have to listen to your community, and you need to be there as your community's leaders to help the people that you're serving.
After speaking with Elizabeth Artister, you really realize how much transportation impacts locals and how you're able to get your groceries and when you're able to go to doctor's appointments. So it was really helpful seeing the impact, and that was a big takeaway.
And thank you guys so much. And when we come back, see how a baseball team in Oglethorpe County is setting clear expectations for young athletes and their parents.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
Finally found a place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
The Dutch.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
And youth sports are an important part of children's development, but sometimes parents can get a little too involved.
Yeah, and most coaches use their voices to set boundaries, but others choose to write their rules down. And we have Grady Newsource reporters Abby Halpin and Ethan Wilcox, who will show us how one baseball club has defined that line between parent and coach.
The most common behaviors observed of others was coaching from the sidelines.
The involvement of parents in youth sports has been a topic of debate for years. The dedication and fandom of parents is something coaches noticed early. When he started 706 Baseball Club, founder Kason Dreeman saw the passion from the parents quickly.
When I started 706, I had some help from parents. I saw that there was a big issue with there's just too much parents having a voice in the ears.
The line between parent and coach in youth sports tends to be blurry. Some parents dive headfirst into their kids' sports. And while that encouragement can be good for a child's self-esteem, Dr. Jerry Reynolds sees it as extra pressure to perform.
Parents feel that may be supportive, but without sort of carefully considering all the other things that are happening in that setting.
Combating voices in their heads, both on and off the field, can be challenging for players and coaches.
And we want them to hear the coach's voice.
Oh, we gotta go!
But we can't do that if they're also getting instruction from their parent on one side, coaching on the other.
Dreeman wrote the 706 team handbook to outline several things, but wanted to focus on positive communication between everyone, players, coaches, and parents. Dan Fowler, a parent of one of Dreeman's players, says the handbook has helped him be a more positive fan at his son's games.
Trying to raise adults, not kids. And so if we can go about starting to treat them that way, taking that approach to it seems to be more productive than yelling from the stands.
On the other hand, some parents may not have the time that some organizations ask of them.
There's an expectation of involvement, and she's like, there's no questions. Like, this is, if you want to be your child to be part of the program, you have to work at the concession stand like this number of times. You have to do this.
Some of the parents that are very involved become demanding of the coach, constantly asking why their child isn't the starting third baseman or why they're sitting on the bench. To battle this, Dreeman implemented the 24-hour rule. Parents have to withhold any questions about playing time until 24 hours after the final out. And while this can be beneficial and gives people time to process and think about what's happened, Dr. Reynolds says that a handbook may not be as specific as parents want.
Sometimes people will probably say they're a little too prescriptive, And it's like, this is, there's always going to be that gray area of like, it's not written, so therefore you're not telling me how to handle this situation.
But Dreamin says communication has improved between him and the parents. The 706 handbook is 21 pages long, and although parents are expected to read it, so are the kids. In one section of the handbook, Dreamin instructs kids to also remind their parents to not coach from the stands. As kids get older, they also begin to have more say in their long-term goals and whether or not they want to continue playing sports. The age of 13 is an important time in youth athletes' lives.
70% of kids are quitting organized youth sports by the age of 13.
Factors including physical exhaustion and injuries contribute to that number, but Reynolds believes that psychological pressure and the strain on the family also plays a role. At 706, some parents believe the handbook eases the pressure off them and provides the kids with more say.
At this age, they're getting to a point where that responsibility has to fall on them a lot more than maybe it would as a 7-year-old. The handbook just kind of frees us up as parents to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go drop you off at this practice. I don't need to sit there and watch every practice.
Others think it lets the kids focus more on the sport itself.
When they're told to go run and switch gear because you're going to the field, to the plate, to hit, they're running to their gear, they're putting it on, and they're running to their next spot.
As youth athletes get older, they begin to have more independence and understand responsibility. Parents work to shift into a less hands-on role, but still support their kid in their goals.
Cliche of it takes a village, it definitely goes into the athletic world, but it's my job to help the parents and the coaches in our organization hold them all accountable.
Reporting for Grady Newsource with my partner Ethan Wilcox, I'm Abby Halpin.
And I'm actually joined by Abby and Ethan now. Thank you guys both so very much. How did you two come across this 706 baseball club?
So the first thing we decided when we were assigned to Sports Sojo was we wanted to keep it local. We felt like UGA sports get a lot of media attention already. We wanted to do something in youth sports, and we went to Oconee and Athens counties, and what we heard from parents the most was disagreements about the level of commitment between them and the coaches.
And while we were out there, we would actually have people refer us to other places and other people. And eventually we landed at a brewery where the bartender pointed to a man who was on his computer. And we spoke with him for about 15 minutes, and he was the founder of 706 Baseball Club.
Now, did you guys run into any problems or ethical considerations over the course of your reporting?
We did run into some issues getting interviews. It was difficult at first because we had a lot of people that we spoke with who seemed excited to talk, but then when the time came to do an interview, we wouldn't hear from them, and we'd follow up, we'd send messages, but ultimately we had enough of a basis to where we were able to get the interviews that we needed.
And the first thing that crossed our mind when we decided on youth sports was minors on screen. That's something you have to sign a media release form, go through the parents, but we were lucky enough that when we brought that up to Coach Dreamin, kids on his team, they signed media release forms right when they joined, so we didn't have to go through that obstacle, and we're really grateful for the time that they all spent with us and chatted with us. I think it turned out pretty well.
All right, thank you, Abby and Ethan, both so very much. When we come back, how one organization in Athens is supplying kids with books so they can avoid any summer slumps.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back. We always hear that reading is important, but Sydney, I don't think we ever talk about the impacts of what you read.
I agree, Zach, and one organization in Athens is combating low literacy rates by providing children with books they can actually engage with.
When you hear Summer Slip and Slide, you probably don't think about education. For the creators of Books for Keeps, The summer slide sparked the idea for their organization. Though it isn't sudsy outdoor fun. It's the trend of kids losing learning over the summer, especially children in low-income households. Books for Keeps is a non-profit organization in Athens. Their goal is to make sure readers of all ages have access to books even during the summer. One of their programs, the Community Book Fair, was just held in October. Community members could take up to 100 books home for free. Attendees took home over 50,000 books this year. That's about 3,000 more than 2024. Athens parent Natalie Malone has visited the book fair in the past with her son.
We went after school, and he picked out books, and I picked out books, and it was just it was a really fun time for the two of us.
Her son is in first grade in Clark County School District and is autistic. Malone says his favorite thing to read is fact books. Recently, they bonded over reading a more challenging book.
And it was a book that he got from Books for Keeps, so it was I feel like they have something for everyone, and it's just the matter of the child finding that perfect match for them.
43% of Georgia third graders were reading at the target level in 2024, according to the Governor's Office of Student Achievement. In Clark County, this number was 34%. Books for Keeps Executive Director Ruthie Horch says research shows direct links between access to books and literacy.
Some research is showing it's a little more effective is giving kids books they're excited about reading. And so our program is designed to both supply books that the kids are excited about and also give kids choice in choosing those books.
Books for Keeps has several programs aimed at improving literacy, including their spring book distribution, community book fairs, and literacy mentor program. Horch says, while the nonprofit can provide the books, there are still barriers that keep kids from reading.
I think that there's a lot of things that impact someone's ability to read, and a lot of them are tied to how much money and how much time do you have, and how much money and time do your parents have and your family.
English education professor Jamie Hogan says eliminating these barriers to literacy will require changes in policy.
We have Books for Keeps in Athens, and we have a lot of other nonprofits that come in and support literacy practices among students and families. They can only do so much, and a teacher in a classroom in a given day can only do so much. So policy can make a huge difference.
Some policy changes she recommends are fully funding schools and libraries and offering universal pre-K. In the spring, Books for Keeps will give 12 books to every elementary student in CCSD, one for each week of the summer. Malone hopes the programs will keep growing.
And I know that the middle schoolers talk about how they miss getting books too, and I'm hoping that it will expand to middle school and possibly high school in the future. But right now, I know all the kids look forward to it at the end of the year.
And Grady Newsource reporter Sophia Stafford is joining us live in the studio. Sophia, we've all heard the stats surrounding low literacy rates, but what was the most surprising thing you learned while out reporting?
Hi, Sydney. Yes, when I was out reporting, one of the more surprising things happened when I went to go interview the parent source, Natalie Malone. When you go into an interview, you have an idea what perspective someone might be able to give you, but you don't know 100% what they're going to be able to say. And I knew Malone had gone to book fairs before, and she had a kid in CCSD, so she'd participated in spring book distributions as well. And when I was talking to her, she was able to say, oh, actually, I've also worked in libraries before, and I've seen low literacy rates. I've seen adults come in who can't read and need help filling out forms and need me to read out documents to them. So we've had been hearing about this problem that's going on, and we looked at the statistics and seen there's a low literacy rate, but it gave color to that number. So it was a moment where I wasn't expecting to get that perspective, but I did. And it was one of those moments where it reaffirmed the story that we'd been talking about.
Thank you so much, Sophia, and thank you guys at home for joining us for our Solutions Journalism show. We hope that you enjoyed getting to learn more about what people in our community are doing to solve your problems, and that we earned more of your trust by showing you how we do our work.
We will see you back here on Wednesday for our last show of the semester. It'll be a special farewell from all of us here at Grady Newsource. I'm Zach Pascuzzi.
And I'm Sydney Palmer. Thank you all for watching, and have a great night.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
And well, welcome to our viewers who are watching our show and now watching our post-show critique. We had a very, very special show today. We had reporters going out in communities to find out, to listen to them, to find out what kind of issues were on their minds. And then we decided to do something different, right? We went and we looked for solutions. What were people doing to actually address those problems? And sometimes we couldn't find them in the county where people were telling us they had a problem. We found it in neighboring counties, and we showed an example of how each county can solve a problem by looking to their neighbor. So I'm very proud of you. A great show, production, so many innovative ideas, so much ad-libbing, great ad-libbing, roundtables, live shots. Caleb freezing there, he was even asking me, can I please wear a jacket, or do you want me without a jacket? I said, jacket and hat. And so, yes, so very, very proud of you. I have to watch the show again. It was a little bit loud in the control room. We have, as I mentioned to you, a very, very special guest. I was just listening to Ashley Shahmadi, who is an ESPN sideline reporter. I want to get that right. Who was one of you? I just overheard you saying, "Oh my goodness, I haven't been here."
Yes, this looks so different than when I was in here. Oh my
Isn't
God.
it nice?
But that looks exactly the same. The control room, exactly the same. Yes.
Yeah, so we are so excited to have you. You managed to, it was very loud in the control room, so I hope you were you managed to hear our show and to just share a few thoughts. But first, before, I just want to introduce you really quick.
Yeah.
So you're ESPN college football.
I work for NBC now,
right
but
now.
I did with ESPN last year. Yeah,
All right,
you're on
so
it.
I'm not on it.
No, you
I
are.
am not on it. I don't have the latest. I buried the lead.
It's a new
didn't
job,
I?
so it's okay.
Yes, I buried the lead, NBC. And so what do you do for NBC?
I am an NBA sideline reporter for NBC. So, but I did college football last year. I actually did a game here, which was amazing.
All
so
right.
That was fun. Yeah.
So you cover the
NBA.
Southeast right now used to cover the Southeast Conference Network.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I buried the lead.
That's okay.
And you worked at Turner Broadcasting.
I did, yep. Did a little bit of everything. Started in local news, worked my way up that way, yep.
So I will let you introduce yourself because obviously I'm out of date,
No,
right?
you don't.
And just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then if you can tell us what you thought about the show.
Yeah.
Whatever you were able to see.
Okay, I took some notes.
What you liked and yes,
Okay.
and what we could do better. Because
Okay.
that's really important.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I guess I have
And
my own
they're
mic.
used to being critiqued.
Okay.
So they won't take it personal.
I know I was asking Jen there what you guys know, what you don't know, like how, not harsh, but how much I should be critiquing. But first off, I'm Ashley Shamadi, and I currently work for NBC. I worked for ESPN last year,
Yes.
but I started in local news in Meridian, Mississippi, which if anyone has ever heard of that, I will come shake your hand because it's a very tiny town in Mississippi, and I was a sports reporter there. Worked my way up for a couple years and started with Fox Sports South, which now is Bally, which they've had a whole bunch of different names. And then ESPN last year and NBC this year. So I'm an NBA sideline reporter. I worked for the Charlotte Hornets for a long time as their team reporter. And yeah, I was literally in your shoes, in your same spot 10, 11 years ago now. So it has been quite a while, but it just takes me back being in here. And let me just say, I know how challenging this is and how hard it is to go out, get a package, turn it around, have to put it in the broadcast. Like I totally get it, but I just want to start by saying Newsource was literally my first job. I felt so prepared after having this course, and I just, it's a great opportunity, and you're super fortunate to be able to have a program like this, because I do speak to college students who want to do this as their profession, but a lot of them have never even picked up a camera, and they're seniors at their school. And so to have this opportunity and be able to anchor, produce, direct, have an opportunity to do these different positions, it's just rare, and I really think you can take full advantage of it, because this literally was what I did for my very first job. So I felt super prepared going into the career and going into that first job in Meridian, just having this. So please take advantage of it and listen to the wonderful professors here, because they all know what they're doing and they have been in this field, and it's just, it's a really good opportunity. So just want to start out by saying that. The show was awesome. I love the solutions, the whole solutions broadcast. I feel like I wish local news would do that, because as we know, it can be a Debbie Downer most of the time. So to have just positivity, I thought was a great creative way to do the show. I did take a couple notes, but like I said, I know this is challenging and you're still trying to figure things out, but just a couple things off the bat that I saw, which I don't know how much you guys have, or what, like if everyone has access to a camera versus the iPhone, but you could definitely tell which ones were shot on a camera versus which ones were shot on the iPhone. And if you have the ability to use the camera, obviously do that. If you guys are planning on using these packages for your reels, for your resumes to send to employers, you just want to make them your best that you can. Obviously, you hope to do internships. I was able to do one in Augusta and at WRDW there, and they, I used their equipment obviously and was able to get things for my resume. But if you don't have that opportunity and this is what you're using, you just want to make sure it's the best quality. So if you can use the camera versus the iPhone, I know the iPhones are incredible quality now, but I would definitely suggest that. Same with the little mic. I don't know if that's something that they do now. I don't have a TikTok, but I know that's really popular on TikTok and Instagram and everything like that. But if you can use lavs or a stick mic, it just looks so much more professional in my opinion. And like I said, maybe they're asking you to do that, which I totally get, but if you can mic somebody up, the packages that I saw that had that I thought were really professional looking. And we used to get scolded if they even saw the cord. Like I should actually have this tucked in right now because it's not a good example. So if you can, use lavs or stick mics and a camera versus your iPhone, you can tell the quality, and news directors will actually, obviously be able to tell the quality as well. I wanted to say, Zach and Sydney, you guys did an awesome job. They said, they were asking if you were nervous, Zach. Were you nervous out there? Yeah, is that your first time doing that? No, nervous, that's okay. Yeah, you just
mobilizes you.
Yeah, reps help with that too. I thought you guys did a great job. Some of the packages, I just felt some of the clips were a little bit long, and I feel like if you can do short, quick clips for B-roll, you know, a lot of, yes, get wide shots, but a lot of close-ups too, just to keep the viewer's attention. I feel like that helps more so than like a long B-roll shot. The stand-up in the package, Caleb, which I'm guessing he's not in here right now because he did the live shot. Yeah. I thought he did an awesome job. I mean, he literally didn't even stutter, which was great because I feel like that took a long time to even get stand-ups. I was such a nervous wreck when I first started doing them. I think the stand-up in the package, though, maybe he was freezing because his hands were behind his back.
He must have been freezing.
I think he was freezing, but you know, walk and talk in your packages and your stand-ups. It definitely just shows your, you know, personality a little bit more, in my opinion, if you can add a little bit of that to it. I think Sydney, in yours, you were on the bus doing, I loved that. That was awesome. Yeah, so some of those just shorter shots, and some of the shots were a little bit out of focus, just things like that. There are some black frames in some of them. Just if you're going to use these for your resume reel, it's just important to make them, you know, as clean as you can, because I know there's different routes now to get to, you know, if you want to work in sports or wherever you want to be. Some people don't take the route of going to a very small station and working their way up. I mean, I'm obviously biased about that. I think it's really important to understand the newsroom and work in a newsroom, but a news director will not even look at the rest of your resume if they see things like that in your packages. So just to you know, make sure that it's cleaned up in that regards. Also, I know, you know, talking to officials is not always the easiest, but in terms of getting an interview, it's easier to go talk to the police or talk to, you know, an elected councilman or official. But Jen and I were talking just about finding, you know, the person that tells the story in a more inspiring way, if you will. Just, for example, the transit story, or any of the transportation stories, finding, you know, the person that says like, hey, if I miss this bus, I don't make it to work, I don't get paid, I don't, you know, get to feed my family, which is very dramatic. So I'm not saying you have to find that every time, but those are more captivating, in my opinion, than getting the official to talk about, you know, the stats of how many people take local transit and local transportation. So just kind of finding, and I know, trust me, it is hard. When I interned, I did news as my internship, and you know, there were some stories we came across that were devastating. A lot of deaths and everything like that, and they were like, Ashley, like, go knock on the family's door and get an interview from them. And that is the last thing I wanted to do. That was the last thing I know they wanted to do. So I know it's hard to, you know, find man on the street or find not the elected official or anything like that, but it really does help tell the story when you can get it from someone's point of view like that. So I thought that would be really important. And same with the baseball story, which I thought was an awesome story. I love the use of graphics. You had like the blurred video in the background with the graphic. I thought that was really creative, but you know, we didn't hear from the players. And I think at the end you were saying that they did sign the waiver so that they could be on camera. So, you know, adding them to it, I think would have been a whole other element, just their experience with the baseball club and what they think about it, just having them in that, I think can add to it a lot. So just kind of little things like that, I feel like really help elevate your package. And, you know, like I said, if you're going to use it for your resume, really you want it to be the best it can be. But overall, Newsource, like I said, it was literally what I was doing my first job. So please take advantage of the professors around you and the opportunity to be in here and work with this equipment and learn from everyone here, because it will help you tremendously. And, you know, like I said, not everyone takes that local news route, but you know, I was able to go from the station in Mississippi to Fox Sports South because they said, oh, hey, you can use a camera, you can shoot, you can edit your own stuff. Like, whenever we don't have a camera person, we know you're able to do it. And I swear that's half the reason that I got the job. So I was able to break into the network Fox Sports South that way. So even if, you know, this isn't what exactly you want to do, was work in local news, these are skills that you will absolutely use in this field. So just take full advantage. But yeah, I think that's kind of what I had so far.
I especially thank you for saying how important it is to have ordinary people. And I do agree, that's the hardest thing to get.
It's so hard.
Ordinary people, to find them, first of all.
Yes.
And then to convince them to talk to you. but
nearly impossible.
It makes a huge difference. Yeah. So thank you for making it's all the points you made. Great points, and we really appreciate you finding the time to come and talk to us here. Guys, any questions, I will pass on the camera because I know most of you want to be Ashley.
Oh, that's very sweet.
I know that's the dream, but I so appreciate what you told them about how you were able to make it, and what gave you the upper hand was actually knowing how to use a camera, knowing how to, all these skills multiple skills that everybody's building here.
Right.
But I'm sure that they have questions.
Oh, yes, if you do,
So,
absolutely.
Questions, guys? Okay.
Hi, Abby. Oh my gosh, amazing. I love Charlotte, by the way.
Great.
It is one of my,
It's so awesome.
I'd go back there in a heartbeat.
It's boomed so much.
Yeah.
So you said that your internship in Augusta was more of a news internship, not a sports.
Yes.
What did you learn from covering more hard news that's kind of helped you in your career in sports?
And you know, Abby, I don't know why I didn't, when I was there, why I didn't ask to shadow the sports person. I have no idea what I was thinking. I think in my mind, I just was like, I need on-camera experience, even if it's news, and I know I wanted to do sports, but at that point I was like, if I can even get a news reporter job, I can maybe wiggle my way into the sports department. That was kind of what I thought, and I was, lucky enough to be able to get a sports position right out of college, but I know it's very few and far between. So I think just, in news, you're interviewing people still, you're cutting packages, you're editing, you're doing everything that you would do in sports, but you're obviously just covering different topics and different stories. So you can use all that. And my reel was all news for the most part, and I applied to sports jobs. So a lot of these places just want to see what you're like on camera, your presence, how you're able to conduct your interviews, how you're able to edit and, report on a story. So even if it is news, it'll help you tremendously. Because when I took this class, about half of us at the beginning wanted to do sports, and the professor at the time did not like sports and told us that, good luck trying to find a job. And he was right. Like, it is very hard to find a sports job. So if you can just get on-camera presence and, be able to work on your craft of stand-ups and feeling more confident being on camera, I think it's important in any regard. So just doing stories like that, as a sports person, sports is more fun. I totally get it. And I feel like most sports people want just the sports job, but yeah, I just think, in my mind, I was like, get that on-camera experience so you have something for your reel, basically. Great question, though. Does anyone else have a question? Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Izzy, and one of my biggest fears about going into local news is moving to a small random town like Meridian, Mississippi.
Oh, yes.
So what advice do you have for taking that leap?
Yeah. And that is a big reason why people, I feel like, don't do this. And they, will figure out where their first job is and they go, absolutely not, I'm not moving there. So if you're willing to do that, yes, it is hard. Meridian now actually has a Chick-fil-A. But when I was there, we had Walmart and we had Piggly Wiggly. So it was, yes. And I'm not from a small town, which it was I went into it with a really good attitude. I was like, oh my gosh, I love Hallmark movies. This is like a Hallmark movie. I was like, this is perfect. Meridian High School football, they would shut the whole town down, and I had never been a part of something like that. So I definitely went into it with a really good attitude, and I think you have to do that because, is it glamorous? Absolutely not. Like I said, we literally had a Walmart and a Piggly Wiggly, nothing against that, but I had to drive 2 hours to go to a Target, which is what I did on my off days. So that was like my fun. But you just have to, if this is what you want to do, you're willing to make that sacrifice. And I know people have told you guys a million times in one that it's all about sacrifice, which it truly is, especially in the beginning. You can't say no to these opportunities ever in the beginning. You have to do, whatever's thrown at you to get to a point where maybe eventually in your career you are able to say no. But at first, you just make the best of it. And a great part about it is there were a ton of people my age at that station because everybody was starting out. And so we spent Thanksgivings together. We spent Christmases together. We would, late nights, weekends, we would all just kind of rally together. And that part made it really fun. And, I made some really good friends there. And the people there were incredible. So, it is not glamorous and it sucks sometimes, but You just have to make it your own experience. So think of it as a Hallmark Christmas movie and you'll be fine.
How long were you there for?
I was in Meridian for 2 years, and then I moved, which I was not planning on being in Mississippi for 4 years, but I went to Jackson after that, which the market size, if you guys are familiar, so Meridian at the time was market like 189 out of 210. So it was that small. And then Jackson, when I made that jump, it was market 90. So in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like rolling in the big bucks, like I'm living the high life, there's a Target, there's like, you know, a Kroger. I was like, this is wonderful. And it really was. It was great to make that jump, and obviously it was a little bit bigger. There was actually competition there. In Meridian, we were the only station, so there was no competition, which was very interesting. In Jackson, I became friends with the other sports reporters from the other stations, but like, you know, you were trying to break the story first. It was just a different experience. But I was in Mississippi for 4 years, and then I got the job with Fox Sports from there. So it's a long 4 years, but it was really fun.
Hi, I'm Mickey.
Hi, Mickey.
And my question was mainly like, you know, we get told to like do creative stand-ups, and I think sometimes we get there, but how do you get away from doing the same creative stand-up kind of over and over again?
That is such a good question. I haven't done this in a long time. You know, I don't really have great advice about that. I mean, honestly, just keep trying things, and if it doesn't work, someone will tell you that it did not work, and you will know that it wasn't, you know, but just, even if you watch other newscasts, and I know they're, you know, professional and they probably have cameramen and editors and everything, but watch how they do things too, and watch, you know, the creativity they put into it, and try and replicate it as best you can. I know it's usually a one-man band and you guys are by yourself, but if you can try it and see if it works, because I know when you're on a time crunch, it's probably easy to just resort back to what you were doing, and I totally get that, but just try it. Just watch, you know, absorb a lot of content in regards to what you're doing, and try and take away from those as best you can. Sorry if that was not great advice, but
Oh, you're fine, thank you.
That's what I would say. It's good. These are awesome questions.
Hi, I'm Derek.
Hi, Derek.
And I got another question about stand-ups.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned when you were talking about Caleb's that it took you some time to
Yes.
get comfortable and be able to do a stand-up without stuttering.
Mhm.
And I feel like I'm kind of in a similar spot where I end up liking my stand-ups, but it takes me like 20, 30 minutes and like 20 different tries to get it
Yeah.
done. So I just wondered if you have any tips of getting more comfortable doing stand-ups or ad-libbing.
I used to practice in the mirror, and it was probably, you know, really cheesy, but I would try and practice in the mirror. And even when I got professional jobs with Fox Sports and with the Charlotte Hornets, I would write out my entire stand-up, and it took me so long to move away from like memorizing. And I know, especially when you're first starting out, that's what you want to do. So then, you know, you think about it, and if you mess up a word, you've memorized it, so now you feel like you've messed up the whole thing, you need to go back. Eventually, and like I said, it took me a long time to get to this point, but eventually you'll feel comfortable to where you don't feel like you need to read verbatim what you wrote down. You can even have bullets, or if you have it written down, if you mess up, you're gonna know what to do and know how to keep going. So it's just really knowing the material you're talking about. Keep it short and simple. I had a huge problem with trying to fit too many words into 30 seconds, and that always messed me up. So just keep it short, keep it simple, because you know you're gonna feel more confident delivering it. It's gonna sound better. You're not gonna try and talk too fast to get in everything you have to say. And then it really just takes the reps, honestly. You know, it took a long time for me to not sound like mousy on TV. I just remember a lot of them are private now on YouTube, but wow. If I were to pull up some of the other ones, you guys sound like pros compared to where I was at for sure. So it just takes the reps, and keep it short and simple.
Yeah, bullet points is better.
Even now, oh yeah.
To read anything when
You definitely don't.
He's asking about lives, right? Not stand up within a package. Is that what you asked?
Either one.
Either or, because both are similar
Yeah.
to ad-lib.
Because he's very brave. He's done a lot of lives, and he's
That's amazing.
good. Yeah.
That's amazing, because live shots are not easy.
His live shot, actually.
That's incredible. I mean, really incredible. Even now.
And speaking of live shots,
Oh, you're back.
Caleb.
Great job. I
Great
know it was
job,
freezing
great
out
job.
there.
Yeah.
You did awesome. I was just complimenting how you didn't stutter or anything. You sounded really great. No, you did great. And to be cold and to do that is awesome. So, congrats. Yeah. That was great. That's awesome. Thank you guys for the questions. Do you have?
I have another. So
Yes.
I know a few of us will be graduating soon, December and May.
Oh, awesome.
And I know the job
You're so
market is a
close.
little scary. So in the case that like there aren't really great opportunities for MMJ jobs and you're taking on like production roles, how do you kind of try to make sure you're upkeeping the opportunity to get back on camera later?
I know it's so challenging. I remember applying for jobs and, sending dozens and dozens of emails, hearing back from just a couple, and, it can be very discouraging. Keep with the contacts, keep checking in. You might sound like you're being annoying, and I felt like I was being annoying, but you're not. Just, keep up with who you have in your network, just so they can kind of remember, like, oh yeah, you emailed me a couple months ago, like I spoke to you, whatever it may be. And that way you can even say like, hey, if there's an opportunity that ever comes down the line, like please let me know, and then just keep checking in with them. In the meantime though, are you asking kind of like what to do until those jobs pop up? Yeah. If you, and I know it's hard with, even if you're the time of year it is right now, but if you can shadow or talk to your local, like somebody that you want to do their job, I mean, just even reaching out to them, and I mean, a shadowing opportunity would be amazing. But if you can't get that, just even be able to talk to them, get the ins and outs, and practicing on your own with your phone. I know that's probably easier said than done, but just to continue to try and stay up on your craft. But I would try and just continue to reach out to people, and even if you're just around it in some capacity, if it's not like on camera, but you're, there's no, you could always ask them if you do get a chance to shadow, an opportunity to come and watch someone for a day, whatever it may be. That's, I feel like, the best way to kind of just stay up to date in this career. And like I said, if they can like put your face to your name or your email or whatever it is, then if something comes down along the line, they'll be like, oh yeah, I talked to her 6 months ago and she was asking about this. So I would just try and stay with those contacts as best you can.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That was great.
Any other questions, guys?
You guys did awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate you letting me talk to your class.
We appreciate you coming.
This was so fun.
And all this great advice, and I wish you lots of success.
I appreciate that.
And,
thank you.
Yeah, and
I will say, I mean, feel free to reach out, email me. I can give my email to them to give to you guys if you guys have any questions at all. I'm so happy to help. I know exactly how you feel. Been in your shoes. Like, I totally get it. It is not an easy career, but man, it is. It's really fun and it's really rewarding. And if you're willing to put in the sacrifice and the work, I promise it is worth it. But it's a grind for a couple of years. I will say that.
And
but
always a sacrifice. That's a good word to use.
It's not
but
for
if
everyone.
you have that fire in your belly, you can deal with the sacrifice. It's worth it. But of course, you have to have a good life-work balance, and family is important as well. But it is always a little bit more of a sacrifice. It's like, a little bit like being a doctor or whatever. My mom was a doctor. Nobody died because I, could die because I didn't do my job well. But if somebody, somebody could have died if she didn't do her job well. So I'm not really comparing doctors and journalists.
Oh God, I could never be a doctor.
Yes, me neither. I don't know how mom did it. But she also had to put a lot of sacrifice. She had to do overnight shifts, and so it takes sacrifice.
Yes, absolutely. And so if you really want it bad enough, if you want it bad enough, you can make it work for sure. But
it is the greatest job. Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah, I could not imagine doing anything else for sure. But
absolutely,
it takes a lot to get there. But just keep at it. So
it's worth it.
Thank you guys. Yeah.